Okay, so good morning. Hello, everyone. Myself, Dr. Naveen Chandra Joshi. I'm working as assistant professor at SRM University, Delhi Sonipat, Delhi NCR Sonipat, Haryana. Today, I'm going to discuss one of my recent work that I published and entitled as Triggering Mechanism of a Triple Decker Flux Rope. So these are my collaborators, the uh, Professor Starlin from NASA MSFC and Professor Moore from the same department and Dr. Bhuvan Joshi from USOPRL. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, let's first discuss about the solar eruptions. So I would like to discuss here these 4 slides. Basically, these are the sequence of eruptive event. One of the eruptive event that occurred on September 15, 2010, and it is recorded by a spacecraft that is called SDO-AIA. It is launched by NASA in 2000. And here we can see the structure here, which is very close to the sun. This is the quarter part of the sun here. And you can see the structure here. This kind of structure is usually called filament or prominences. So here you can see it's lifting off, and finally some of the material is went up like this way. So these kind of events are called eruptive events, or we can say these events as solar eruptions, right? So these kind of solar filaments are supported by the flux ropes, which are the magnetic structures, and these magnetic structures hold these kind of filamentary structures in the solar corona. So these kind of structure remain in equilibrium condition. There are many kind of forces are there, like upward magnetic pressure force and downward magnetic tension and gravity. So the balancing of these forces remain these structure intact in the solar corona. So when the equilibrium breaks, these kind of eruptions start to erupt. So it is very important to study these kind of eruptions and their triggering mechanism in the point of view of space weather, because sometimes these kind of events can come to Earth and they interact with our magnetosphere, and they can disturb the magnetosphere in a while. So this only the case when it is moving towards us. So these kind of events are very important in that way. Next is I would like to discuss some models or some theories that has been given to discuss about the triggering of these huge solar eruptions. So there is one model is given by Chain and Shibata in 2012, and this is the flux emergence model for solar eruption. Here you can see this circular structure. This is a numerical simulation model. So here this structure is showing the flux rope, and the filaments may be situated somewhere here. It's not shown here, but it will be somewhere here. So what is happening? Some emergence is going on from here, and when the emergence is going on, it interact with the pre-existing these magnetic fields. So after that, two new magnetic field will be formed like this way, and in that conditions some pressure will be decreased here. Magnetic pressure will be decreased in that region. So that's why the field lines comes closer like this way. You can see here these lines are very far away, and here they are very close away, and they interact, and after interaction this system is going upward. So that is the one case. In other case, emergence is there, but not from the just from the near to that region, but from the sideways. Here it is just at the below of the flux rope. But here in that case, it is sideways, little bit far from there. But again, that emerging flux, that is a field line, which is usually of bipolar nature, is going to interact with this huge, we can say coronal loop or maybe magnetic field line. So when it is going to interact here, again we can see the new field line will be formed like this way and this way. So again, this reconnection is also going to decrease the magnetic pressure or remove some of the overlaying field lines. Like this way, you can see the zoom version of that. The field line is emerging, interacting with that way, and it is moving here and here. So in that way, the system is moving slightly upward, right? So that is the second case where it is sideways. Next model that is given by Moore et al. 2010. It is known as tether cutting model for solar eruptions. Let's first understand this structure. The dotted line is the polarity inversion line. So it means here the magnetic field is nearly zero, or on the one side it is positive polarity side and the other side may be negative. It may be reversed according to the situation. And these field lines, they are set of field lines. You can see they are turned field lines. These are the field lines which have some twist. This one and these side, there are two sets. These are called shared field lines. And we have these three field lines, which is called potential field line. They don't have any sort of twist. They are simply potential magnetic field lines, like we have in the bar magnet. But these lines are not simply potential. It has some turn. So due to that turn, it has some energy stored in them. And these are called shared field lines. You can see they, due to some motion, they can come to interact at this point. And after that, some new field line will be formed like this way and this way. After that, there may be two cases. The confined eruption means nothing will happen after that. The flux rope forms and will remain there in the corona. But in the eruptive case, the flux rope which is formed is going to erupt, and another set of reconnection will be taking place here. That is called second stage reconnection, and it is called standard reconnection as well. So the main triggering point is this, the reconnection between shared field line that disturbs the magnetic tension, and due to that decrease of magnetic tension, the flux rope is going to erupt. So in the whole process, there are two-step reconnection. First, initial tether cutting reconnection here, and the second here, which is quite obvious. Now, let's discuss one another important model, that is the breakout model. Initially, it was given by Antiochos in 1999, and later on it was simulated by Karpin in 2012. So here in that model, it is quadrupole magnetic configuration. So you can see they have 4 poles, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Similarly, here you can also see 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is also a numerical simulation model, or the MSD model. So what is happening in that model? Slowly the field line, the blue field line that is lie inside this arcade, inside this pole and this pole, is going to start slowly, and there is a null point reconnection at the top here and here as well. So after that, when the blue field line is reconnecting with the red field line, the new field line will move in that direction and in that direction, right? So in some way, the magnetic flux rope or the filament system that is exists here under the null point here, somewhere here, is going to erupt like this way, because the magnetic tension is going to release due to this null point reconnection at the top. And then when it is going to erupt like this way, the second stage is the reconnection here between the adjacent field lines like this way. So here you can see here, this structure is going away and the adjacent field line, this one and this one is come closer and they reconnect here. So we have to keep in mind that all the field line which are going to interact should be the shared field line. There should be some energy stored in it. The potential line don't reconnect or something like this, so they don't have any sort of magnetic energy stored in it. So the flare loop will be formed here and the current sheet will be formed here. So now in this model, the main source of triggering is the null point reconnection, which removes the overlaying field line in that way or in that direction, and that allows the eruption of or underlying shared field line like this, right? So in the earlier model, in the tether cutting model, the main source of triggering was this interaction of shared field line. But in that model, the reconnection at the top, the null point reconnection, is the main trigger that initiates the eruption. Okay. So these are the three models that are well known. Now, what is the motivation of my work, right? So the study of onset and the interrelationship among successive eruptions. Like if we have eruptions one after another, then these are called successive eruptions and from the same active region, right? If from the same active region successive eruptions are taking place, then what will be the cause for that, right? So we try to investigate the one of the new sequential lid removal mechanism given by Starling et al. 2012. And we found a very good observational evidence for this kind of mechanism. We'll discuss later on what kind of sequential lid removal sequence is there. Okay, so let's move to my work. Let's start with the event. Here the event starts with this section. You can see this is the half part of the sun. Basically, this is the western part of the sun, and activity or the eruption starts from inside this box. That is the area of activity in our case. This is SDO AIA 304 angstrom image, and these are the images correspond to this box. This is AIA 171 angstrom image. Here you can see the coronal loops quite well, and this is the continuum image of the sun, and we can see some small dark structure that is called sunspot. So this overall figure shows where our activity is taking place from this region. So let's move on to the next slide. Magnetic structure. It's very important to investigate what sort of magnetic configuration is there over the active region. So in this panel A, you can see the line of sight magnetogram of the sun of that region. Here the positive color shows the positive polarity region and negative shows the negative polarity region. So if we consider the field lines, it should start from the positive side and goes to the negative side. So the field line will be like this. So these field lines we can estimate or we can construct using some analytical techniques. Or here I have used the PFSS technique, potential field source surface technique, to extrapolate the field lines over this region. You can see here the field lines is starting from the positive polarity is going to the negative polarity. So the magnetic configuration is quite simple. It's like bipolar type. You start from positive and going to the negative. It is the global magnetic field configuration over that region. So this is all about the active region from where our successive events or the successive eruptions are going on. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so what happened with the flux. This flux is the goose soft X-ray flux at 0.5 to 4 and 1 to 8 angstrom, the black curves, right? Apart from these black curves, this is our event date, 22nd May 2013. The plot is plotted from 00 UT to up to somewhere 24 UT is from the whole day. And the colored curves are correspond to the 3 to 6 keV, 6 to 12, 12 to 25, 25 to 50, and 50 to 100 keV. These are the different energy channels and corresponding flux. These colored curves are from the RASI. RASI is another spacecraft which gives us the flux at these energy bands. And the black curves are from the GOOSE, that usually is the different spacecraft and gives us the integrated flux. Integrated means the flux that is coming from the whole disk, and we have plotted. So when we plot it, we can see on the whole day there are three prominent, not prominent, but there are some three bumps we can observe. One at this time around 3 UT, one at around 7 UT, and the third is around 11 to 14, in somewhere in between here. So these three are the enhancement in the X-ray flux, or somewhere in the hard X-ray region as well, like 50 to 100 keV. So these are actually our three eruptive events, right? So the flux is showing that we have three bumps which is correspond to the three eruptive events. Now we will go to the observations and see what happening at these times. Let's move on. Okay. So the triggering of first eruption, we have three eruptions in that case from the same polarity inversion line, from the same region. Okay, and from the same region, three eruptions are going on one after another, what sort of mechanism is there for the triggering, and how the overall eruptive dynamics is there. So we are going to discuss this successive eruption in this work. So what we see at the time of 2:30, there is an activation of filament which is very low laying, is very close to the solar corona, here. So when it is going to activate, we can see the movement of coronal field line. Like, see, this is the filament which is low laying and corresponding overlaying field which starts to move upward, right? And their corresponding flare arcade here. So the timing is slightly different, 2:30, 2:40, and 2:40. So what we are going to discuss here is the activation of the filament forms some flux rope structure here, and which finally start to erupt. And after reconnection, we have some flare loops here. You can see the flare. This is a very hot channel. 94 angstrom is a very hot channel observed by SDO-AIA, and this is 131 is the combination of mixed temperatures, hot as well as some cool component as well. So this is the first step that started the 2:30, and basically that is the triggering of the whole process. Okay, so we have stereo. There is one important thing we should note, that Stereo A is a different spacecraft and observe the sun from a different angle. In the last slide, you can see the SDO is observing the event on the western limb. You can see the limb, right? For the sun, the right side limb is called the western limb. And for the stereo, it is at different angle observing the sun, and our event is the western event. So it is on the eastern limb of the sun. You can see a very beautiful eruptive event here from that is here, and it is going to erupt here. These are basically the difference images. How we can construct these images? We subtract the images from one behind, like we subtract 2:30 by 225, right? So if you subtract these two images, which are at the two different times, we will get some quite nice images, that the structure that is going to erupt. When they still images, sometimes we can't see these kind of eruption. Here, the height time profile is shown with the time 220 to 3, how this structure is moving up, right? So here we have the X-ray, how it is going on in the X, and in that side it is projected height. So we can see these points are the height time estimated point. So for that we have just tracked the leading edge, like in that case leading edge is here, and the speed is coming out to be 167. So this is all about the first eruption, right? There is a first eruption of the sequence, right? So these are the low laying signature. Whenever there is an eruption, so we can see some in the lower solar atmosphere, some brightness. These brightness are called the flare ribbons, right? You can see some brightness at this point as well as on the other side. In between these brightnesses, we can compare these brightnesses on the magnetogram. You can see the ribbon R0B and R0A, or R01 and R0B. These are the two sets of flare ribbons. Which is very close to the polarity inversion line. So polarity inversion line is lie in between the positive and negative polarity, yeah, in between this region. So here the R0A and R0B are the closely laying flare ribbons, and these ribbons are associated with the activation of low laying filament that I have discussed in last few slides. And the R1A and R2B, which is lie a little bit far away, it is associated with the large scale eruption that I have discussed in the last slide. Right here, this is a large scale eruption. And before that, I have discussed here, it's very low laying activities, right? So they are basically two different activities are there. One is very low laying, which disturbs the overlaying field lines, and that allow the eruption of these very large scale field lines here, right? So let's move on. So again, the quality is the importance of multi-wavelength observation is that 1600 and 304 is a different atmospheric layer of the sun, can be observed quite well in different wavelength range. So this is around the transition region of the sun, and this is more lower than that, right? So this is 1600 angstrom and this is 300. These wavelengths are quite useful to observe the low atmospheric dynamics, that is to investigate the flare ribbons. Now let's move on the next figure. Yes, these are the CME associated with the first eruption. Here is the sun. When we occult the sun through a coronagraph, we can see the eruptions that is coming out from the sun. That is called the coronographic images. Here, this is the sun. This is the core 1, stereo core 1 instrument images, coronographic images, and this is a LASCO C2 coronographic images. This is CME eruption from that side. This is the CME. The height is quite different. This is low coronal heights, and this is very high coronal height, right? You can see structure that is CME. Speed is 224. Now, so what we are going to interpret is there are 3 flux rope, one over another. There is flux rope 1, flux rope 2, flux rope 3. Because we have 3 successive eruptions, so there should be 3 flux rope like this way. That we're very much sure after the inspection of observation. So we have the eruption of middle flux rope like this one. Reconnection, and we have 2 flux ribbons which is close by, and simultaneously that pushes the field line upward, the blue field line, and that moves upward. The connection here as well, and we have to another ribbon R1B, R1A and R1B far away. So that we have discussed in the observation. So that is our interpretation, right? So we have lid. You can see the first lid is here, and that's going to erupt. So means in the first eruption, this lid is going to be removed, right? So that's why this sequence is called lid removal. Means the upward magnetic field lines is going to remove successively one after another, and that start or that facilitate the eruption of flux rope 2 and 3 later on. Let's discuss the eruption 2. After the first eruption, after 6 hours, we also observed the eruption of faint eruption from SDO 94 angstrom. This structure is going to start erupt here from the same active region. The speed comes out to be 43 and around 56. The eruption. This is going to be upward, right? And let's see what happened in the event. This is the stereo images as I've discussed in the first eruption. I'm not going to discuss in detail again. So this is a difference image. This is the second eruption. You can see this is a huge structure is going to be erupt. So that is, and the speed comes out to be 56 around. Okay. Again, the ribbon formation dynamics. Whenever there is an eruption, there is some reconnection in between the field lines, and finally the final outcome is the very low atmospheric dynamics that is called flare ribbons. R2A and R2B. These two straight structures are called the flare ribbon associated with second eruption. Right. This is a stereo 1600 image. We can again see brightness here and here. Again in the stereo, this is different projection, different view. We can see the two structure here. These are the ribbons associated with the second eruption. These are the post-flare arcades. Means after the flare, we have some flare arcade forms joining the two ribbons that we can clearly see in 304 angstrom images, 171 angstrom images here, and as well as the stereo 195 images. So this clearly shows the eruption is associated with the flare, forming the flare ribbons as well as the flare arcade. This is the CME associated with second eruption. That is the core 1 coronographic images. Second is the LASCO C2 images and LASCO C3 images. The small circle is the sun. We have occulted the sun, and then whatever is coming out is called the CME. So here we can see the structure that is coming out. In that view, it is coming out like this way and this way. So basically, this is the flux rope or the filament that is going to erupt from the low solar atmosphere. And this is the outer structure. It is called leading edge. And in between, it is called cavity. And this is the core, which is the filament. So we can see this is the sun because the field of view is high. So sun is very small compared to here. So the structure is very huge. And compared to this, we can compare the sun size here and here. Right? Speed is 687 kilometer per second, which is slightly higher than the last one. So in the second case, what is going on, the flux rope, which is moved away, or after moving at some out, it remains stable, it's going to start again. You can see this is flux rope 2. In the initial case, it is moved slightly upward, but it remains still there. So in the second stage, this is going to upward, giving the second CME and the flare arcade. Here you can see the flare ribbons. Okay. Now we have one flux rope left here. Okay. So let's see what happened in the third eruption. Okay. In the third eruption, these are the post-flare arcade. We can clearly see that is the consequence of second eruption. But from under these flare arcade, we have the another eruption. You can see this structure. Yeah, clearly this structure is coming out under the flare arcade of the second eruption, right? Which is moving the flare arcade of the second eruption towards upward or the towards northward, we can say like this, right? When we trace the eruptive structure, the height, we can plot the height and time profile, and when we fit these height time curves or data, we'll get the speed. This is just a linear fit. Okay, we'll estimate the slope and it will give the speed. 49 kilometers is slow and 176 kilometer per second is the highest speed that is observed in the third eruption. So in the last slide, I'd like to go to in the last slide. There is the flux rope exists at the bottom one. Now this is going to start erupt, right? Because the second lid is here, which is associated with this lid, and when this is second CME is going to erupt, so it removes this second lid, means the overlaying field line, in simply we can say. Okay, and it is quite obvious in the observations. Okay, let's move on the next slide. You can see the deflection of overlaying field line towards north and the eruption and the flare arcade. Again, it is forming here, and that is associated with the third eruption. Here we have some RASI sources, the looped off source as well as the foot point sources, right? That is usually formed when the high energetic electrons moves from the reconnection point and moves channels down towards the lower solar atmosphere and hit the chromospheric region and forms the foot point sources like this way. Like, yeah, here you can nicely see the flux rope structure in the Studio A images at the time of 1240, right? Which is not visible very clearly in the SDO images due to some observation limitation. So that is about the third eruption. Now again, because of third eruption, there should be reconnection and the flare ribbon should be formed, which is quite well observed in the SDO 304 angstrom images here, here, and is here, right? Green color and blue color, you can see the contours, overplotted contours. This is correspond to the positive polarity, and the green one positive, blue one negative polarity. So both the ribbons should be lie at the different polarity region. So all the three eruption is associated with flare reconnection as well as flare ribbon and the flare arcades. Here is the arcade formation associated with the third eruption. You can see nice flare arcades. We can see here in the stereo images as well. Let's see the CME images. Again, the core one coronographic images, very low in the coronal heights. LASCO C2 little higher, and the LASCO C3 is a slightly larger height. We can see some eruption again at 13 UT, which is after 4-5 hours later on after the second eruption. Here we can see the structure. Here it's a very complex CME structure. This structure is associated with the second CME, and the coming one is from the third CME. So here the two CME is going to be interact as well. Interacting CME example is also there. The speed is very high. The first eruption speed is quite slow. Second is slightly higher. Third is very high. It's 14.66, right? Yeah. So that is the associated CME 3. What is happening? This third flux rope is going to be erupt along with filament. The connection is there. Flare ribbon will forming in the low solar height. This is the height. This is the photosphere you can consider. CME 3 is here, and finally we can see some post-flare arcades. So again, all the lids have been removed now. You can see these field lines is already moved up, and so that's why speed of the third flux rope is very high compared to the others. Now I would like to conclude. So the interesting case, after careful inspection of the observation, we can say the configuration is triple decker flux rope. We have 3 flux rope exist, which erupts successively one after another. Start from the first eruption that is triggered by the confined eruption of the middle flux rope that we have discussed. Second CME eruption is very fast, is a blowout like eruption, and of the it is the previously arrested middle flux group, because in the first case we have discussed that there is some eruption from the bottom, but it is not reaching up to that height. Only the overlying field line is erupt. So the flux group is arrested, and that arrested flux group is erupting and giving the second CME. Finally, the third CME is the lowermost flux group, which is carrying the remaining stand of the flux group and blows out. So we have three successive flux groups. The important conclusion is sequential removal of overlaying flux. That is, this process is called sequential lid removal, or the simply lid removal. The concept is given by Starlin in 2014. So the successive removal of flux group during first, second CME respectively triggers the second and third. Like the first eruption is triggering the second one, and the second CME eruption is triggering the third one, right? So it is a sequence of lid removal, means the removal of overlaying flux, and that is very well observed in this observation, very nicely observed in this observation. So after that, I would like to conclude. I would like to thank you for your attention. This paper is already published in APJ in 2020. It is in press, but already published. Archive version is available. You can go through this to read the paper. These are my contact email IDs. You can contact me if you have any further queries. Thank you for your kind attention.